Hello everyone and welcome to today's episode of the Osasu Show. As the 2019 general elections draws closer, we keep on speaking to the political candidates and their spokespersons. Last week we had the spokesperson of the Buhari campaign organization, Festus Keyamo, on the program. This week we're speaking to the spokesperson of the Atiku campaign organization, Segun Shoumi. It promises to be another interesting interview. Don't go anywhere and we'll be right back on the Osasu Show. Welcome back to the Osasu Show. Joining me now is Mr. Segun Shoumi, who is the spokesman of the Atiku Abubakar campaign organization. Thank you so much for joining me on today's program.
Totally a pleasure. Totally my pleasure.
Last week we had Festus Keyamo, who is the spokesman of the Buhari campaign organization, and I asked him categorically, why is it that when the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who's your principal, decamped, the party saw the need to castigate him, but when he was in the party, they didn't say anything negative about him. And he explained to me that it's sort of a church scenario where you welcome the prostitutes, the drugs, and all the different kinds of sinners. But when that individual then decides to climb the pulpit to preach, you then remove the mic from that individual. Do you agree with this connotation and analysis of your principle?
He's very shallow-minded. It's typical of him to say things like that. It's a bit insulting. The analogy of prostitutes and all of that doesn't really hold water. I think the problem they have in the APC is just their grand larceny, hypocrisy and all of that. When you're a political party, you must always know that people will come to you. If you handle them well, if you treat them right, if you make them feel at home, then they may stay. But if you bring them in and just ignore them, pack them to the side, make them irrelevant, generally just run like you've used them and you want to dump them, some of them in their own right are very big, and because they're very big politically, some of their followers are going to be wondering, what's our leader doing? Provide leadership. Come on, man, we can't be staying here. They're not even treating you well. And if you then add on top of that the fact that the original agenda, which is to do the issues around the country and provide governance at a level that can be at least considered an improvement of what was there before you came, then it's easy to tolerate. But if you're not even doing that, then obviously you will be expecting them to sit on there and just clap you on while you just make a mess of the whole country. People like Atiku don't even listen and do stuff like that. He's someone who, I think, the fire of what can happen in Nigeria keeps burning in him. And when you're gripped by passion of this, we can still do better, we can still do better, that energy is so, propelling and gives you all the reason to continue to, just overlook all of the challenges and you just keep pushing on.
The spokesman of the PDP had said that the philosophy now of those who are speaking for the People's Democratic Party is to go high when the opposition goes low. And I think that's very interesting, given the fact that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, when he was in the APC, he did say that the PDP hadn't done much in their 16 years of governance, given the fact that he was also a part of that 16 years of governance. So a lot of Nigerians are finding it hard to grapple with the fact that now he's in the PDP, now he's the presidential flag bearer. What new philosophy, what new ideologies is he bringing to the table?
I think that the first thing where to go to or start this conversation from the question is, let's step backward a bit and try and look at what could have been Atiku's contributions over those years. The first is that you would have noticed that for 1999, if we started from there, Atiku had the responsibility of sitting on the Economic Council of the country. That structure itself was not exactly how we used to run the country. Atiku was the first vice president, literally, to have that situation created. And that situation has endured till now. Every other vice president has generally had that. So you can see that from a thought process point of view, his ideas are enduring. There's also the fact that you must remember that government and leadership is a continuum. You take power and you start to solve the problem immediately. You don't spend all of your time saying, oh, it was bad. That's why they gave you power in the first instance. So you recall that in 1999, the country had just come out from a military situation that was a bit tough. People like Atiku and Osasu, who had the responsibility of fixing the country, beg your pardon, spent their time doing that. And in the process, they gave us a lot of things. They opened up the economy, they liberalized the space, they even liberalized political discourse. They gave licenses to private television, radios, all of that. A lot of energy came in. I don't want to keep repeating the GSM one, but they did GSM, that's a fact. And they did pension reform, they did a lot of reform. They did EFCC, they did ICPC. You can almost tell that that was a set of people, and mostly under Atiku's watch, who were looking for the best processes that can carry the country forward and endure. So if Atiku was an APC and took the mood of the country at that time, and the mood of the country was, okay, they didn't want us again, we had been there for 16 years, we must get a new man who's going to come and give us El Dorado now, which was what brought the Buhari. Okay, Atiku was part of that. They had to listen to the people of the country.
So that's my question now is, what is he going to do about that?
Very simple.
We're tired of all these campaign rhetorics. We want to know exactly what the plans and how the implementation process is going to be.
In a couple of days, unlike them, unlike most other candidates, His Excellency Atiku Abubakar is going to unveil a policy document out of very, I hope, turns out to be a very good plan, program. Planning is something else, implementation, but the plans are really good. And Atiku has the kind of interest to implement it. There is nothing to be gained by Atiku going to be in the villa and not performing, because do you know why? The time you have to create the historical narrative for yourself for all of life is very short. And if Atiku finds himself in the villa as the president of Nigeria, I know he gets it. He understands that whatever time, 4 years that he's going to spend there, if he makes a mistake, he has no opportunity to reverse the historical narrative. So he's not even going to go there and go from. What are the things he's going to do? Based on research, which all of us can taste and feel, we have a very big unemployment issue here because we're a young population. People cannot go to school and not be able to get something gainful to do. It's a burden on the parents, it's a burden on the people, it's heavy on the society. And because the population is young, the number there is very big. You need somebody who's going to take that serious. Atiku is going to make job creation and employment central policy. It doesn't mean he's going to employ all of them before they get it all wrong. He's going to run programs and policies that allow private sector.
What sort of programs?
I'll tell you, the expansion of the private sector space to allow private sector players to come and take over and run their businesses and then employ.
Okay, so tell me the macro plan now. You said fixing the issues of unemployment.
The next one is that we've gone in the past up to double digits until we got to the point where people were even saying that we're the largest economy in Africa or the fastest growing economy, and they even created a brick in, which is that Brazil, Indonesia, and Nigeria and all of that. But obviously, due to mismanagement, we're now nobody talks about us in terms of anything positive anymore. Even the president says people are mad here. I don't know what he means by that, but what Atiku wants to do now is to figure out how to open up the economy now so that we can then bring private sector discipline into how we run the activities of government, and then allow those who, government has very little business in business because government doesn't really know how to run business. But if you are stuck with the mentality that you're going to over-control everything and you have to keep slamming them with fines and all that, you're going to stifle the creative energy of entrepreneurs. Capital doesn't work like that. But when you have someone who has a lot of experience in how to run businesses in charge of the country, he at least knows what foreign direct investment, private investor, local entrepreneurs are looking for. And it creates that enabling environment for them. And then they can run with that. And then there's also the issue of security. Look, We've been fighting Boko Haram and every other problem for some time now. Is it not about time we kind of like looked at the whole security architecture all over again and asked, is it working? If it was working, why are we still having this problem? So we need to figure out how to rework the architecture. We need to redo the audit. We need to know what can work for us and our situation. There is no one jacket fits all security manual. So you need to renew it. If you need to give some powers to some other sections of the country, like the state and the local government, to do some things around security, you need a president that is able to think that thought and is not afraid to go that route. So I think that beyond all the rhetorics of campaign, I think that as Nigerians, one of the greatest assets God has deposited in us is that we have the audacity of thinking that things can be better. You sit everywhere with Nigerians and you just hear them, oh, it's not working well. But if somebody says it's not working well now, it means that somewhere in his subconscious, he has an expectation of
it working tomorrow.
So
I just want to recap that the Atiku campaign has 5 prongs, 5 macro prongs, policy prongs that they're going to attack once they get into government. That's employment,
opening up the economy,
uniting the country, security and power. You said...
No, you should have tied it all up to the most important elephant in the room. That the boy. Thank you.
But my question to you now is, how does your principal intend to achieve this in 4 years? And I want you to also clarify the rumors making round that he has pledged to serve just 1 term.
You see, executive orders can be used either to create a dictatorship where you're like taking all the power to yourself, you want people to be hounded. You can use your executive power for that. It's within the executive power that you can use. People will quarrel, but it's executive power. But you can also use your executive power for far more creative things. In Atiku's case, more than likely, he's going to be using that window of executive power to transfer power, money, and authority and responsibilities to the states. So that those items that are, come on, hey, what is the Federal Ministry of Agriculture all about? They don't even have land. All of the agriculture is taking place outside the seats of the federal government. Why do you really need to spend all of the money on a humongous idea when you know that the agriculture can be in the states and the local government?
Let me just clarify something you just said. He's going to use executive power to implement some of his restructuring ideologies.
Absolutely. The way it works is, there are those things that you have on the concurrent list. For the benefit of our listeners, concurrent list means what is not exclusively that of the federal government. The federal government can embark on it, the state can embark on it, local government as well can embark on it. Atiku is saying that, look, so most of these things on this concurrent list, the federal government is just bleeding money by doing them. We might as well give it back to the states and let the money that normally follows it go with it to the state. And if you're giving out power, who's going to stop you? If you're giving the state money, when they take, if you're giving them more responsibility over their affairs, when they do it, that's one of the things Atiku can do easily. And that would have significantly done some fiscal federalism or some restructuring.
Don't you foresee any issues with the National Assembly?
There's no issue with the National Assembly when you're giving out those things that are on the concurrent list. You're allowed to do it already.
Exactly, you have the power to, but we know that when it comes to politics, the National Assembly, for example, what they're doing with the present administration right now, they're setting powers that the president has. For example, I'll give you the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas issue that just came up. So they had, through the NNPC Act, the authority to appropriate and spend those funds. But the National Assembly now claims that they don't. So the politics, have you taken that into consideration?
Yes. If the president, and I hope he wins, if Atiku Abubakar as president decides that I want to put some power back to the state so they can function well and get the federal government to busy itself with big ideas, who's going to tell them no? Why should the president of Atiku Abubakar not be interested in a massive reimaging of the country for the Nigerians at home and Nigerians in diaspora? Why should we not be interested? Those are big ideas. Why should Atiku Abubakar, as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, not sit down within about 6 months and figure out what are those things that Nigerians are clamoring for in restructuring, and how does he need to go around the country, talk to the legislature, put them all together in a consensus with the guys, this is what we think is the best for our country from the previous reports we've collated it. This is the real issues. What do you think? Let's have this discourse. Do it very quickly. Give us a white paper. Give us an implementation. Why shouldn't you do that?
So in 4 years, it seems almost, I don't mean to be a cynic or a pessimist, but in 4 years, it seems almost impossible to accomplish all of this. And you still have not addressed the issue of just running, being in office for 1 term.
I'm coming to that. The reason why it has become almost difficult for anybody to believe that 4 years is a long time is because of the ineptitude of the present administration. 6 months, no cabinet, 2 years, they're not feeling well. Okay, that's not their fault, but at the end of the day, it's still their fault. So, and then they come back 1 year at a time, they're not even facing the issues, they're still looking at calling this, calling that. If it's not Jonathan today, it's Obasanjo, it's not. No, that's not how to be a president. You take the issues that you have to contend with, the ones you have serious issues with, you put them towards the court process to go and deal with that, but you face the new work that you're supposed to be doing. Because after 4 years, what are you going to tell the people? Are you going to tell them that you were voted in so that you can do excuses and all of that? So that's that. On the one-term thing, and I am being extremely honest with you, His Excellency Atiku Abubakar was the one who said it himself. Nobody forced him to say it. Nobody asked him to say it. Nobody pushed him into saying it. I think he said that if the foundations are laid well, 1 term is more than enough to get the country ready. And he's also probably reacting to the fact that he's hearing that younger people are also eager to now take charge of their own country. And he's then asking them, okay guys, I hear you. You want to take charge of your country. You have a right to take charge of your country, but it's too divided now and it's a mess. Let me stabilize it for you. Let me bring about 40% of you, men and women, into it so that you can learn exactly the nuances, what it looks like from outside and what it's like on the inside. The two different things. Do you guys know how to treat files? Do you know what it means by immunity? All of that. Come and learn that. And after 4 years, I can do a Mandela. Nelson Mandela spent 27 or 29 years in prison, came out and fought for appetite to go. He did 4 years, he did 1 term, and put power to a younger person, Thabo Mbeki, and the country is making progress. We have to get out of this idea that a nation is only going to be run on the integrity of one incompetent fellow.
So, commendable idea. So, you've just clarified that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, your principal, made no promises that he'll do just 1 term.
What he said is that, give me a document, a legal document, I'll sign it. If you're too cynical to bring the document, if you have not asked him to, you don't want to hold him to that, that doesn't mean he doesn't want to do 1 term. But you haven't held him to that. Okay.
So if we as Nigerians actually bring that document for Atiku to sign, and
they will sign,
and the People's Democratic Party decides not to sign that document, is it still valid?
Let me try and answer that question honestly. Candidates don't present themselves as independent candidates.
Exactly.
The mandate that Atiku Abubakar, His Excellency, is going to be running with is the PDP's mandate.
Exactly.
The PDP can decide that, look, Mr. President, you're doing 1 term. After this term, we're taking our power to the southeast. Atiku will not struggle. There's no need for him to. He would have done more than enough to go and let somebody. And Atiku doesn't believe that. That's the difference now. Atiku doesn't believe that if he's not the president, nobody else can do a good job. He's not that kind of person. Atiku believes that, okay, look at what's on ground now.
But the PDP cannot say, you cannot sign a document saying you're only going to do 1 term in office.
No, I don't think people will say that.
They cannot. They don't have the right to do that, do they?
They do. If the party now says, and please Nigerians, I am not saying this to get out of the 1 term trap. Okay. I'm having a very intelligent discussion with one of the most intelligent presenters on television right now. So we're having a truly intelligent conversation. If the party says, Mr. Atiku, thank you for your time, we're not even going to your zone, that's it. and he won't even struggle. Atiku has seen what a president wanting to remain in power at all costs has done to the
But if the party tells him that we would want you to run a second term, despite this agreement he has with the Nigerian people, what would be the stance of your principal?
I think Atiku Abubakar, as I know him now, will consider all things, will look at the successors that are available, the pool of people that can be available to be successors, and he will say, party, I gave my word, and I want my word to be my bond.
I like that. That's a fine place to leave it. Thank you so much, Mr. Shegun, for your time.
Totally my pleasure.
We'll take a break right now. When we return, we'll bring you some highlights from the Osasu Show Foundation. Don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back on the Osasu Show.
I schooled at Government College, Kefi. I just received a scholarship from Osasu Show Foundation to continue my studies. May God bless her and continue to bless her in Jesus' name.
I'm 16 years old. I'm in Government College, Kefi. I'm JS3. I want to thank Osasu Show for giving me scholarships so that I will go back to school.
I am 17 years. I just received financial support from the Osasu Show Foundation to complete my education, and I still hope that the Osasu Show Foundation will still give me support to complete my education up to the university level. Thank you and God bless you.
I really want to say a very big thank you to the Osasu Show for this opportunity and the scholarship to the children. It was really necessary given the point and the need that most of them do not have these aids and there's always delay in paying fees. So through this medium and through the organization and foundation, fees are going to be met, school uniforms are going to be made on time, and good sandals will be given to the children. We really want to say a big thank you once again to the Osasu Foundation and to the Osasu Ibinedion herself. God bless you, ma'am, and we really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Osasu Foundation.
That's it for today's program. Don't forget the Osasu Show Symposium is just a few days away. We will show you highlights as we sign up from this program of last year's edition. You can sign up on our website, tostvnetwork.com. It promises to be an avenue where you can engage directly with your leaders, ask them pertinent questions that affect your daily lives. You do not want to miss this event. It's happening on November 22nd. That's a Thursday at the NAF Conference Center, Abuja. For directions and all other inquiries, you can call the number on the screen. Follow us on social media at The Osasu Show, at TOSTV Network, at The Osasu Show Foundation, and at Osasu Ibinedion on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'll see you same time, same place next week. And by that time, the symposium will be over, so don't miss it. Sign up now, and by the time I see you next week, I hope to show you highlights from that symposium. Take very good care of yourself. God bless you.
Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome each and every single one of you here to the Osasu Show's Mating Symposium. I am truly humbled by the individuals cut across all walks of life that I see here today. Your presence is both a valid endorsement and a testimony of your faith in our work and commitment to creating a bridge between our citizens and leaders. We are immensely grateful. Thank you.
Let me pretend to be Fatima Olushola Chibweke. I live in the village. I'm not here, I can't speak English. How do I feel your presence through the work that you do?
If we want to address poverty, one critical element is infrastructure. It serves as stimulus to address poverty.
For our efforts in the campaign, we have attracted almost 2 billion naira by direct sales to the average Aba person in terms of production of military shoes and all those kind of things.
We have commenced construction of the Lagos-Ibadan, and the contract was 36 months. I told the gentleman he must finish December 2018.
Therefore, let me use this opportunity to appeal to our leaders here present and those watching to keep preaching peace, keep working in earnest for the unity of our dear nation. We will remain united until we make Nigeria truly great.